welcome. So we took a 2 week break, and that was related mostly due to the importance of elections that took place, and well, everyone's attention was dedicated to the drama that was unfolding, and I believe it is still unfolding. Um, we thought that it's worth to take a pause and see if we can reflect back on the moment without focusing on issues of international trade and other related matters. But well, my understanding is that the drama is still unfolding as far as presidential election is concerned. Life continues, and people still need to go about doing their business, and people still need to go about doing their about day-to-day jobs and provide means for themselves. So speaking of providing means for themselves, I have a very special and very talented individual with joining tonight's stream. I had the pleasure to meet this gentleman personally when during the coronavirus crisis, when at the time when all the banks were rolling out those special programs which were pretty much robots and auto-generated emails. This gentleman took his own time to reach out to me personally, walk me through the steps that I needed to take. And from what I understand, this was applicable to pretty much not only myself, but all because I'm Yuri, but also because I was a client of this particular bank. And of course, by the bank, what I mean is the bank which is called the Flushing Bank. And this bank has a very special place in my in my experience, and my further relationship with this bank further confirmed it, because if I need to ask a question, if I need to do something, all I do is stop by, I pick up the phone, and I pretty much always given more than I think I deserve as far as attention-wise is concerned. So let me introduce a guest. This guest is the vice president of the bank. His name is Jim Morton. Jim, say hello.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
So hopefully all of those statements are that I have been saying, they're not under reflect. At least what I'm saying is it is my experience. It is not the experience of others, but I'm sure the experience of others is just as pleasant. This is the contact information that you have, Jim, because my understanding is that
Looks good.
your kindness is available not only to myself only, but also to other people as well who are interested in doing any kind of banking, and they may consider the Flushing Bank as a potential bank to consider their needs.
Well,
Jim,
everyone,
so is that a good information? Can you check the screen, please?
Yes, it looks good.
All right.
My mobile phone, my direct line, all looks good.
Okay, great. All right, so going to the interests of the audience. So when I started this stream back in August, me and my partner being Ken Bear on the Jersey side, we both practice international trade law, mostly U.S. customs law, but uh, it also involves logistics, it involves transportation, it involves other aspects as well. And my question is, um, I I know that you deal with many other fields of financing, of providing credits and other things, but my particular interest would be what what I noticed in as far as my clients are concerned, and those clients include small businesses, medium-sized businesses, and most of them operate. They are more like small mom and pop shops, um,
Mm-hmm.
and they operate on a cash basis. And two things flow out of this. Number one is they're limited to the way they can expand their operations. So in other words, if business picks up, let's say um, they feel like they can expand to have more warehouse space. But because
Mm-hmm.
they're limited, for example, to as far as money is concerned, because they operate on a limited budget, they are not able to do so. So one of the goals is maybe that you can educate those small businesses which pretty much are busy every day in their lives and may not have any information which is available with respect to what is out there. Perhaps you can educate um, that there is financing available out there, and what does it take for the financing to make happen? Is it scary? Because I keep hearing from, I mean, not from my personal interaction with you, but from the various media outlets, they talk about banks and they talk about various bad things that can happen. But from what I understand is those bad things they can be mitigated by knowledge. And my hope is that you can make a few comments about how those things can be mitigated by saying a few things about what small business, maybe a warehouse operation, few trucks, they
Mm-hmm.
think about expanding. What is it scary, or is it something which is they can consider as a possibility, for example, with Flash and Bank?
Okay. So, Yuri, well, first of all, thank you for having me. And let me say thank you for the kind words. And I listen, I think at the end of the day, change for anyone is probably scary, but change can also be a good thing. A good thing in the sense that you briefly mentioned that some of the smaller companies that you represent have been working currently or in the past on a cash basis and maybe don't have, for example, a bank line of credit or a bank loan, for example. Sometimes by just leveraging some of your assets, like for example, your inventory or receivables, a bank can, like ours, can establish a line of credit. And with that line of credit, having more cash in the pocket allows the business to grow even further. So it's sort of like it's basically called working capital. So that's the capital that's within the business. So, if you think that, well, I have cash on my balance sheet, if I can make more deliveries, I can forward more freight. I create more sales. Those sales become receivables. I can lend on that, and then I can put more cash in that client's pocket so that they can go out and seek more business. So it's sort of a circular cycle of, making more sales to create more receivables that I can lend more money on, puts more cash in a client's potential pocket. So, doing it on your own by self-funding, probably, it's something you can do. It's something that's achievable, but at the same time, it's probably holding certain companies back from going to that next level. It's something that Flushing Bank, we're not a new bank that's just popped up. We've been around since for over 90 years. We're a publicly traded bank. We're on the NASDAQ with our parent holding company by the name of Flushing Financial, where we just recently consummated a smaller acquisition of another bank out in Long Island by the name of Empire National Bank. So that takes our total asset size to close to around $8 billion. We have a 25 branch structure right now in Nassau, Suffolk, Queens, Brooklyn, and Manhattan for branch network. But retail banking is, as while we still have it, the trend over the last 15 to 20 years has been to sort of bring down a little bit the size of retail banking as branch networks aren't needed as much. But we still value the need that our clients currently have. We continue to maintain our branch network and have, as I mentioned, we're up to 25 branches right now. So what I would love to have the opportunity to to talk to some of the clients of Yuri that you have, to see if there are opportunities where they may be looking for a line of credit, or they may be looking for a term loan, or we also offer leasing as well for trucks. We could talk about that as well. We have a fairly robust leasing division. That's something they can consider. But again, by leveraging your assets, it puts more cash in your pocket, enabling you to go after those additional sales that you may not have gone after in the past, because there was constraints on what was liquid or what was in your sort of, if you want to say, pocket or bank account at the time. So that's sort of the short story on Flushing Bank. I'm a lender now that's been in the industry for well over 25 years, so I'm not new to the industry. Some other things about Flushing Bank I can say is that we're a bank that likes to support our clients, even during this tough time. As Yuri mentioned, during the pandemic, we are a preferred SBA lender, so that enabled us to quickly start on the SBA PPP program, payment protection. Additionally, we're also a lender within the Main Street lending program. The window right now is scheduled to close per the Treasury Department on December 31st. However, with the potentially new administration, that may get extended, unknown yet. But again, the process to get something started is really just, reach out to me with either a phone call or an email. I could go over certain deliverables that we would need to try to get the process started. And at no cost to anyone. There's no application fees. We're looking to build relationships, long-term relationships. When companies are doing well, we want to be, just like it says on the bottom of my email, we're small enough to know you and big enough to help your business grow. While it sounds like a catchphrase, it is true to our bank's motto. Most of our clients have been with us, well over 30, 40 years. So we're there, we're there when they need them. At the end of the day, if your bank's not able to help you when you need them, what goes your bank? So, I pride myself on being a solution provider. Similarly, when sometimes not every deal will fit within a particular financial institution's underwriting guidelines, one of the things I like to do on a personal level is if I'm not able to do a deal, I always like to try to find a soft landing for someone that may not fit in the front door for my bank, but with my contacts, I would try to find somebody who could, help, meet the company's needs. And that's,
Jim,
that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm done. I was just wrapping up saying, that's
I just wanted to follow up on some of the things you mentioned.
Sure.
One is, so you mentioned you have potentially of interest, and this is not only to my clients. I hope it's also to the audience who would be viewing this. The playback will be posted on various social media channels, and my understanding is that you talk about several potential sources which can help businesses. One of them is, for example, if it's a If it's a truck operation, you have a truck leasing options where you help with the financing of the of getting maybe a tractor trailer, so they can
Yep.
pull the containers from the yard, for example, or
Yep.
doing the deliveries in areas in which they do their deliveries, whether it's local deliveries or deliveries possibly to Canada, for example, from
Hmm.
tri-state area. Um,
Hmm.
and but so my understanding is that I would normally go to the if I want to buy a truck, I would and I want to I want to finance it. I would go to
Hmm.
the dealer and they would provide me one. Uh, so before buying, how does it work? Before buying a truck, I need to come to you, or I already need to. Let's say I find a truck, I want to buy the truck.
Well, I mean,
Um,
at the end, I would say at the end of the day, it should be within whatever the company's best interest is. It's you definitely should. If you're, for example, let's use Volvo. Volvo makes trucks. Let's assume you're buying a truck
mhm,
from a Volvo truck dealership, for example, and you were, I would say find out what their best offer is. I can make an introduction to my leasing team, and at the end of the day, the person can choose. It's good to have options, and you should
right.
probably take the best option, that you want. That's just one aspect of it for truck leasing. I would always say, only come to me. No, that's probably not that's not the best answer. Yes, I would like the business, but at the end of the day, listen. You got to take the best offer that's given. Sometimes the deals are better than what I could do, but then again, sometimes I'm better
Mhm,
than what they can do. So it should be, I would say the advice being just take your best offer, but it's always good to have options. And it doesn't cost it doesn't cost anything to apply with us, as I mentioned. So it costs nothing other than maybe sending a few emails, having a few phone calls. So it's not a heavy lift.
okay, what now going to that asset leverage that you mentioned. So by asset leverage, what from what I understand, and I'm not a financial guy whatsoever, is you have certain assets. Let's say you have um, forklifts, you have trucks, you um, may have some property, uh,
Yep.
and you would like to expand your operations. So
Hmm.
that business would shoot you an email, and then you would say, okay, what do you guys have? And the question is, all right, so it's a risky environment, so it's a risk both for the bank and a risk both for the business. Um, what am I especially nowadays because of coronavirus, you have a lot of unpredictability. In case of some transportation companies, for example, when the communication channels such as airlines were pretty much shut down, and so some businesses they were suffering hard. So what? Uh, this is a fear factor. Is there anything that you can say that they can mitigate that fear factor based on saying, okay, so if I commit, then I will probably lose everything because I committed these assets, but the second wave or the third wave is gonna it has a potential to wipe out of whatever I have left.
Well, I know. Listen, I do appreciate the commentary and I do appreciate your question, but it's a little difficult to answer in the sense that I am not an economist. I cannot predict where the economy is going. And it is 100% true that a lot of businesses have suffered during the pandemic, especially along supply chain, retail companies. However, people still need consumer goods. People need clothing to wear. They need soap for showering and cleaning. They need PPE, sanitizer, and everything else that they need from laundry detergent. So there's always a need for consumer products right now. That hasn't gone away. But as I say, it's not a heavy lift to try to have a discussion with us to see if we can get the business to the next level. I do feel, and I can say this confidently, that things will get better. I mean, there's a cliche that I've always heard: it's always darkest before the light. So I hope that I think things are going to turn around. When that's going to happen, I don't know. But it's not a heavy lift to have a discussion with me and see what we can try to do to help a business get to the next level. Yes, I mean, one of the other products I mentioned that we also specialize in is commercial mortgages. If someone has a building or a warehouse, that's something we could finance as
Yeah,
well.
like a commercial
But
warehouse space, for example.
we love those. We are very active in that type of space, that type of market. But at the same time, and we're very competitive when it comes to rate structure and so forth. But as I mentioned, we'd also like to be all encompassing in the sense that I could leverage a fixed asset like a building, but I could also provide a working capital line of credit to help the company grow. And I could also, have a third product like equipment leasing for trucks. So, we don't have everything, but we try to, we have products that we design around what our clients' needs are. And I think those sort of three within the space of a freight forwarding company, wholesale company, manufacturing, et cetera, we could definitely meet those types of needs. These are some of the industries that we lend to. We're very broad based in the sense of this is not the only areas that we lend to, but it's something that we know, and we know consumer products very well. So hopefully, there's something that we can do on a go forward basis.
What about for locations? I know that a lot of you guys are doing business as far as branches are concerned. They're within the New York State. So are you guys available to discussion to the folks, let's say, outside of New York, let's say California or other places?
Yeah.
Or you focus on
Well,
specific locality?
Well, to be honest, we do try to stay within our footprint. We generally try to stay with businesses that are within basically a 2-hour drive of, say, where our branch network is. So if you kind of look, we can handle Nassau, Suffolk, as I mentioned, any of the 5 boroughs, all the way up into Connecticut, all of New Jersey, northern New Jersey, New York State. We continue to grow up until I think once you get past Orange County up to like even Dutchess County, we're fine. We're okay. And then going as far south as we generally don't like to go into Pennsylvania for Philadelphia. I would say like the Princeton area as far south for businesses, but if there's always a good story that's maybe for a company that's like slightly outside of one of those areas, and maybe they don't need maybe for example the company does not need a branch to be around the corner. They can do their banking online, and they can use remote deposit capture, for example, depending on how their revenue sources come in versus how they take care of their payment of bills. You may not need a branch, to handle the business activities. So as I say, it's always worthwhile to have a quick chat to see if something fits, to see if a company fits, and see if there's something that we could do. As I say, there's no cost for a conversation.
Right. What about the approach? I know that you mentioned that it's case by case basis, and there's no cookie cutter way, if you will. But any like for example, with respect to getting a working capital, any corridor of the cost of that capital to the potential client, what can they look for, what they can count, or it's again depends on time, depends on their structure, and it's on case by case basis.
It is case by case.
Any general
but,
picture that you can make?
Yeah, all right. I'll try to, if we're going to lend on someone's if you wanted to have a working capital line of credit, some of the parameters we would look for would be looking at some of the asset structure of the company. For example, the company's level of accounts receivable and what size that is, because we could we could have or develop a lending formula on an asset base, an asset basis that we lend a certain percentage against the accounts receivable that the company is waiting to get paid on at the end of each month. And usually that should be considered a revolving cycle in the sense that, assuming that the company's an ongoing concern, every month I have sales of X. And then each time based on accrual, type of accounting. And when I sell something, I make the sale or provide the service. I don't get paid as the day I provide the service. It comes 30 days later, and sometimes between that 30-day lag, companies are waiting on that cash. I could lend against that, depending on what is considered an eligible receivable, what is not considered eligible. For example, I don't know, let's use 60 days from invoice date as an eligible number. I've delivered products to a company, and they normally pay me every 60 days. And then after the if I'm not paid within the 60 days, that would be considered an ineligible receivable and would fall off of what's considered a borrowing formula. That could be an example. But again, I don't want to get too deep into that type of a structure just yet. But that's something that we can talk about and decide if that's something that a company wants to move forward with, and if there's any capability to do so. But we take a more a holistic approach. We look at the structure of the company, the equity of the company. We look at the cash flow of the company, the projected cash flow, if we can, as well, and then looking at the owners as well. We'd like to know that know the story behind the principals, and we do usually require recourse to the principals, so that there's a sort of phrase again that I like to use called skin in the game. So if I'm going to lend $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million, $5 million, or some permutation above or below that, I would like to know that if I'm taking my bank's assets and putting them at risk to lend, that a principal also would say that, I stand by what I borrow, and I'll afford my personal guarantee. So the bank as we develop relationships, we generally like to start off with a personal guarantee of the principals, so that they are also showing that they're all in, just like we're all in. So that's a general structure that we could have, for a line of credit potentially.
What about well, I know you mentioned personal guarantee, so that's kind of implies the answer to my next question. But what about the age of the company? Let's say my company, I've been in operation for 1 year. Should I think about even going to you, or maybe there is I should wait for a few more years, maybe 5 years, 7 years? Is there a general rule of thumb that you would want to consider for that?
Well, overall, listen, when a company first starts, I just remember this from my earlier lending days that, within the first 3 years of operations, this success versus failure rate leans heavier towards failure, unfortunately. But again, that doesn't mean that we don't want to lend to those industries. It's just higher risk. Sometimes, there are other avenues. As I mentioned earlier in the call, we are a preferred SBA, Small Business Administration lender, and that may be an option as well to mitigate some of the risks that we may feel are inherent with a company that's only been in existence for a year. Again, when you're in existence for a year, you really don't have a long established track record that you can rely on. But maybe there's a larger upside to this, where this company, if with the proper support and financing, can go from a $1 million a year sale to $5, $10, $15 million just by having that support of a working capital SBA backed line of credit, or a Flushing Bank straight line of credit. So there's a multitude of ways that we can do this. We'd have to again, as you mentioned this, I can't speak to all right, well, if I do this, then if we get this, then that. I really have to look at a full financial package to see, what the company's strengths are, and we can design a financing product around what the needs are versus what we think we feel comfortable with.
You mentioned the SBA, and we had this conversation back a few months ago, maybe, about Title 7A versus Title 7B. Okay, so by mentioning SBA, so you're saying that you have a government-backed guaranteed loans, which are sometimes favorable simply because the government is willing to take some or all of the risk, right?
It's not all of the risk. It varies on percentage. There's a few different programs. There's one program is called the Express program. The other one you mentioned is the 7A. I don't believe there's a 7B, but there's another third program that we frequently participate in. It's called the 504 program, which 504 has to do with the real estate, where and there's a certain amount of guarantee, and each one has a different percentage. It can range from 50%
Jim, real
guaranteed
estate
government.
commercial or residential?
Commercial.
Okay.
And the 504 program is basically it's like it's like 504, so it's 5 stands for 50%, O is it stands for the 10%, and 4 is the 40%. So 50% is guaranteed by is funded by a bank. 10% equity is put in by an individual or the business, and the 40% would be from the SBA as far as a guarantee on real estate. So I'm sorry, the guarantee, and they also create like a first and second mortgage. So the bank would be the 50% mortgage, the 40% behind that would be the SBA, and then they're very favorable terms up to 25 years as far as amortization. It's a way for a company to leverage one of their assets if they don't have the equity per se when they're purchasing a property to maybe put more than 10% down on a business or on a business per se, but the building.
And not to mention some things such as emergency situations. So in the past year, you had to deal with PPP loans, for example. I don't know if you had to deal with SBA idle loans, but as the crisis evolves and new things come out, I think you also keep your hand on the pulse too, right?
I try. Even
Okay.
when the PPP program first came out, it was new to all of us. So I think we were all learning on the fly. Thankfully, I think it was rolled out well. I think a lot of people are hoping that there'll be a second wave to that. I just don't know. I hear a lot, but yes, it's we hope that there's more support. We hope that the economy will obviously get stronger and turn around quicker for all of us. I think that the PPP program was very beneficial to a lot of people at the time, helped a lot of businesses. But and there's still a lot more to be done. But we'll see whether the current Trump administration or the incoming Biden administration will have more within the CARES Act. I guess stay tuned.
All right. I guess what I'm trying to say, Jim, is from the just a regular person's perspective. I remember you being sending out those emails, making those follow-up phone calls, giving status updates. My understanding that you were doing all those things because you understood the anxiety that was faced by your clients. So you decided to take your time and personally reach out. And I guess this is not an exception. This is something standard, which I guess you do, at least you do on your end. I cannot speak for Flashing Back, but I guess you do on your end.
No, I think it's I appreciate the kind words again, but at the same time, I do think it is culturally that our bank, when we bring on a client, we expect to be that client's bank for as long as the business keeps going. We have a vested interest in companies growing. We have a vested interest in companies succeeding. It's no secret. I don't make money if I don't lend money. So I have a vested interest in a business growing, getting bigger, getting stronger. So I mean, I don't think that's a secret to anyone on the call, and it's not a mystery. So that's sort of what we're about. But and then part of
My
that
my
process, as
comment
you mentioned.
my comment, Jim, was I'm not going to name any other banks. I'm just speaking from the comparative perspective. It relates to my experience of my clients with some other banks, again, without going into the names, and my experience with
Yep.
Flushing Bank and you in particular. That was what I was going to.
Well,
They also
I again, yeah.
can say the same stuff, but for some reason the degree of care and outreach was somewhat different. To put it nicely.
Thank you. I do appreciate that, but I
Okay,
pride
Jim.
myself on that.
I think so. I have your information on the screen. I even have your mobile. I felt kind of hesitant to put it, but you said no, it's all right. You can put it down. So 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 I have your information out there for everyone. I think you provided a lot of food for thought, and you provided a lot of good general information, at least to think about that this is not that scary to talk to a banker. Uh, it is something which can be even a pleasant experience, at least on my end, speaking to you right now. Any other things that you want to say? Because I need to move on. I need to cover some other things. And
Yep. No.
I think you provided a good coverage so far. But any other last words, if you will, that you want to say to the international trade community?
Well, thank you again for having me. I look forward to possibly working with some of the folks that are on the call tonight. Please don't be a stranger, and we'll help your business grow.
All right, Jim Morton, everyone. Thank you very much, Jim.
Thank you.